I have been waiting 10 years for this release. Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming at you to review the recently released Blu-ray from the Scream Factory. Friday the 13th Deluxe Edition Collection of Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. And for the very first time for us lucky individuals with actually 3D TVs and 3D Blu-ray players, long time coming. I bought my 3D TV 10 years ago, and I've been waiting 10 years for this Blu-ray release of a 3D Blu-ray release of frickin' Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. And it's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, just like with the first two movies, you got a new 4K scan of the original film negative and a new 3D transfer. And I think that, besides just remastered original mono soundtrack, is the only thing that's new to this release. I don't think there's any additional interviews or commentary, but that's absolutely fine. I basically, when this set was announced, I planned to basically buy it more or less just for the 3D version of Part 3 in 3D. Before I talk about the 3D aspect of this release, I'll briefly talk about the 2D aspect of this release. Just like with parts 1 and 2 in this collection, Friday the 13th Part 3 2D version looks better than it's ever looked, with, you know, just enhanced sharpness. I think the colors seem to just pop more. Obviously, because of the way Part 3 was shot, it's never going to look as good in 2D as the other films that are just shot normally, but I would still say that this is, you know, definitely, in my opinion, the best version, or the best 2D version of Part 3 that's ever existed on home video. I think people that are really familiar with this movie on you know, Blu-ray, the previous Blu-ray versions, are going to really notice once again an uptick in sharpness, clarity, and the colors just seem to be more vibrant, an all-around improvement over the original Blu-ray release. And just like I said with the other, you know, parts 1 and 2 of this collection, I don't see how Part 3 in 2D can ever look any better than it does here. If you watch my review of the recently released Part 2 Blu-ray, you'll know that there's a very brief moment at the end of that movie when Ginny's confronting Jason in his shack, where there's like this goofy ass like zoom in during a transition between the face of Ginny and the face of Mrs. Voorhees. I'm very kind of disappointed to say that that same F-up at the end of Part 2 is also featured at the beginning of Part 3 when they use the end of Part 2 footage. So this is indeed definitely a mystery with this release, why that moment in Part 2 is like that. It almost makes you wonder if that was like that. I mean, if that's the way it is, you know, if they're saying that this release, or these releases of the first 4 films are off the original negative, it stands to reason. It's like, okay, is that how it was? Is that how it is in the original negatives and all the versions we've seen on home video up to this point, you know, have been, you know, that moment of the movie's been from a print where they fixed it since? It's really a mystery now, with this, you know, the anomaly at the end of Part 2 being also in that same spot in the, you know, the recap of the end of Part 2 and the beginning of Part 3. So once again, since it lasts just half a second or a second or so, I guess it's not the biggest deal in the world. To be honest, when I watch Part 3 these days, I really don't even watch the Part 2 recap anyway, because it's just basically the end of Part 2 without any editing done. So I guess in those regards, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it really becomes, it's really a mystery when two separate versions of the same scene, you know, have that same F-up, when we've never, in North America anyway, we've never seen it look that way before. It's definitely a mystery. Now on to my review of the 3D aspect of this release, and oh my goodness gracious, it's amazing. In a lot of cases, it's better than I thought it would be or hoped it would be. In some of the bright time, daytime scenes, I mean, there's like almost close to zero crosstalk or ghosting or whatever the hell it's called, and it's just like, oh my god, amazing. And of course, one of the huge things is that someone with this release, of course, effed up the opening credits, where the credits, you know, the initial title of Friday the 13th and then the part 3 popping out works absolutely perfectly, but the rest of the credits are like brought back in, so where they're really deep and then they come to the, basically they come out to where the screen is versus starting at the screen and going out like the title does. Scream Factory is saying they're going to fix that. We shall see. Either way, my thoughts about the screw up of the 3D credits, it really isn't the biggest deal in the world. If they were going to screw up any part of this movie, I'd rather have them screw up the credits. I'm just glad that the majority, you know, that the rest of the actual movie is correct. So, you know, yes, while it's, you know, it would be preferable and we can to have it perfect, and we can only hope that's going to happen with the disc replacement thing that they're going to do later on. I mean, I don't, you know, I can live with the credits kind of screwed up. I'm just glad the rest of the movie is correct, and you know, oh my God. I kind of feel bad making this video because a lot of you people watching might not have access to a 3D TV, and it's just like, I don't want to sound like a, you know, I don't want to make people feel bad or whatever, but it's just like to finally be able to experience it this way without the freaking red and blue glasses and stuff. It's just like, it's almost kind of, I mean, I can't say I bought the 3D TV for that since it wasn't out or whatever, but like I say, I've been waiting 10 years for this release, so it's just like, oh my God. I mean, I probably would have paid the cost of what the set cost just to get part 3. So I don't know if I can even express, I mean, how great it is. Don't get me wrong, like on some of the darker scenes, of course, on my particular TV, I've got like a Sony 3D TV and the active, you know, the shutter glasses and stuff. Some of the darker scenes, there is a little bit of ghosting and stuff, but, you know, no, I mean, in my experience with my TV, of course, you know, 3D isn't perfect, and like I say, the bright scenes for me work so good, like the yo-yo and the juggling and you know, the pitchfork sticking out of Fox in the barn, and the pitchfork pole sticking out of the other guy when he gets stabbed, and it's just like, oh my God, to finally be able to experience this movie as originally intended at home is just the biggest frickin' treat in the world, and I can't stress how frickin' amazing it is to be able to finally have this after 10 years of like waiting. It's just like, I can't believe it actually happened, so I'm so grateful for that. You know, very grateful for their usage of this poster, of course, and having the 3D element down there is really cool. I don't think I showed you guys the back of it. We've got Hockey Mask Jason there, and then a kind of a lame shot of her just like miming, you know, just doing a, it's just like posing for a still there. I mean, it's like she's not, anyway, you get what I'm saying. Opening the case, we see a thing of beauty and something I've been waiting 10 years to be able to see. A Friday the 13th Part 3 disc, original artwork with the Blu-ray 3D logo stamped on it. Finally, 10 fricking years later, after I got a 3D TV, I'm fricking holding it. I couldn't be more fricking excited about finally owning this movie on Blu-ray 3D. And as so often is the case with a release like this, you've got the option for this, a North American original theatrical cover art, or this cover art, which I don't find to be particularly that great. It's kind of generic and really not that amazing in my opinion, so I'll definitely be going with the other cover art as opposed to this. And then when you use that cover art, the back looks like this, with Jason coming through the window and Chris hysterical in the back of the cop car. So I've got a little end of video update here. It was really cool that I actually received the replacement discs in the mail before I finished and uploaded this review. That way I could say the replacement disc for Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D does in fact fix the problem that they did, where they had the opening credits, you know, sunken into the TV and kind of come to out to where the TV is. Now they actually are completely unaltered and exist in a 3D fashion the way they were intended, where they actually come out. Every little credit comes out of the screen as intended, and most likely shown in the theaters back when it came out in the early 80s. So that's very, very cool, and obviously anyone with 3D TV, or even if you don't have a 3D TV and you want the fixed discs for Jason Goes to Hell Unrated and Jason X, I would obviously request the replacement discs. There's instructions online how to do that. It'll be interesting to know when they're actually going to start. You know, one would think at some point they'll just start putting the replacement, or you know, the corrected discs in the collection at some point. Hopefully they start doing that now, so people don't have to keep getting the the botched versions of 3 and Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, So I'm very, very excited and delighted to report that on the 3D version, the opening credits has been fixed. So it's really kind of cool that I've got now 2 copies of Part 3 in 3D, because as I said in my review, I mean, it's not like the opening credits is the biggest deal in the world. I mean, even with the botched version that came out first, the whole movie, what really matters is the movie, not so much the opening credits to me. So I've got an extra disc now of the movie in 3D, so that's really kind of cool. So I'm happy to report that the problem with the opening credits in 3D has in fact been fixed. Hope you guys enjoyed this video of me showcasing the recently released Blu-ray 3D edition and standard 2D edition, of course. Thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.